So let me first maybe recall what double funding stands for. So what does the concept of double funding stand for? It basically means, and this is laid out both in the RF regulation and in the financial regulation, that a same project cannot receive funding from two separate, from different EU funds. So only if the EU budget supports the same costs twice, there can be actual double funding. And what the European Court of Auditors is saying is that we should also be performing checks on the absence of double funding on the so-called zero-cost measures. And again, this is a bit of a technical concept, but please bear with me. So the RF regulation is very clear. So this concept of zero-cost measures exists. And what are zero-cost measures? Well, zero-cost measures, as the term says itself, they are reforms or investments that either do not entail any costs, for example, a reform, or are entirely financed by non-RF funds, for example, investments supported by national funds. So the Commission considers that having to perform checks on zero-cost measures is basically not aligned with the letter and the spirit of the RF regulation, where double funding is a cost-based concept. So that is, I think, one important point to make. Another point where the Commission does not agree with the European Court of Auditors is on its findings that EU financing instruments in general, which are not linked to costs, and they point out to the RF in particular, lead to a higher risk of a finding of double funding. I've already explained that the concept of zero-cost measures, on the concept of double funding. But what is important to note as well is that in the context of the RRF, there is a robust framework already in place to address this risk of double funding. And this from the very early phase of the design of a plan to the actual delivery of the plans. So just to name but a few, so there are the many checks which are being performed at member state level, which, as you know, are primarily responsible for preventing, detecting and correcting double funding. And of course, the Commission is also carrying out our own risk-based audits, checking the reliability, the robustness of national control systems. We do ex-post audits, compliance audits, and system audits. And we also checked whether the national systems are actually suitable to detect and prevent and avoid double funding. And where we did find weaknesses in the design of these systems, we actually included specific audit and control milestones into the recovery and resilience plans. And these had to be fulfilled before any payment could be made. And these have been included in several plans. Now, on your question, do we agree with some of the recommendations from the European Court of Auditors? Yes, we do at a certain level. You were asking me, for example, in specifically on whether we have access to all final recipients of funds. So here I can confirm that the RF regulation clearly lays out in Article 22 that for audit and control purposes, the Commission, alongside OLAF, the European Court of Auditors itself, and the EPO, can have access to the list of final recipients of funds in the context of a specific audit. So these are the points that I wanted to make in relation to your question. Just to come back, because there are two things. So the RF regulation foresees two things, if I may. So first of all, in terms of the publication obligation on behalf of member states. So member states have, since we adopted the REPowerEU regulation, the obligation to publish the list of the 100 largest beneficiaries twice a year. And they have to publish this also on our scoreboard. So all of this is publicly available information. And I can confirm that almost all member states have already updated this in 2024. And the next update of the data is expected in the course of this month. So that is one thing. But then what I just explained, and which is also important, is that there's another provision within the RF regulation, Article 22 to be precise, which lays out that for audit and control purposes, so in the context of a specific audit and control purpose, so if we carry out, for example, a system audit or another audit, then we do have access to the list of final recipients of funds, so all recipients, final recipients of funds. So I think these two things need to be distinguished.
Thanks, Veerle. Indeed, you're very welcome to discuss this further. It is an important topic, and there's many technical aspects related to it, so I understand it can raise several questions from your side, Mose.